This is Casey Hendrickson on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
This is via the Washington Free Beacon. The Democratic Party developed an elaborate multi-year operation in the 1990s that deployed thousands of activists to covertly mold public opinion using, are you ready for this? Talk radio, according to documents from the Clinton Presidential Library. The Democratic National Committee, that's the DNC, with the blessing of the Clinton White House, launched the Talk Radio initiative ahead of the 1996 campaign. Now, if you have listened to talk radio for any length of time, you have heard many radio hosts, including myself, Rush Limbaugh, telling you that we get these seminar callers. These are organized campaigns to go ahead and call talk radio. That is a part of this, okay? The program trained thousands of operatives to call into radio shows, conduct surveillance of their contents, and secretly disseminate Democratic talking points while posing as ordinary listeners. How many times have you heard me call them out on this show? How many times you heard Rush call them out on this show? We can spot them a mile away because their talking points are exactly the same. Their playbook is exactly the same as it has been since the 1990s. So while we have been telling you that this is a thing, I used to actually get the emails from MoveOn.org about this, because MoveOn.org, they track me, they track every other radio host. There's people assigned to us, and I haven't heard from the people who track me since Las Vegas. So I don't know if they have new people following me or if I've dropped off the radar. I have no idea. But there was a whole profile for me that was sent to me by a mole inside MoveOn.org at one point on my show, and all of the things that they had written down about me and taken notes on and everything else. Volunteers must be able to keep the project confidential so as not to create the image of a Democratic conspiracy to infiltrate Detroit area talk radio shows. That is a 1995 TRI guide prepared by Michigan Democrats. Democratic performance in the 1996 election will no doubt be affected by the success or failure of this initiative. Radio show hosts long suspected that someone was training so-called seminar callers to inundate their shows with sympathetic callers. Lars Larson, a host in the Pacific Northwest since the mid-1990s, recalled being on the receiving end of many such calls, but was not aware that many may have been trained by the DNC. See, when I was in Las Vegas, I got on the mailing list for MoveOn.org, okay? And they would send out these mailers. So I've been on the mailing list of the DNC, the RNC, many organizations for many, many years, and they send out their talking points that day and their marching orders. So I get the RNC's marching orders, I get the DNC's marching orders, and I would get MoveOn.org's. And MoveOn.org would say, today on this issue, we're going to spam every single talk radio show that we can with these talking points. And that's what they would do. They would call up and they would, I'm a huge fan of yours, yada, yada, yada. And they would put out the propaganda and then they would hang up. That's what they would do. You would get calls an hour apart. This is Lars Larson talking. You would get calls an hour apart from different people with different voices and different names. But they would talk the same lines. So close that you knew that this was not a coincidence, Larson said. It was the same language on the same subject and the same arguments. Exactly. It's because that's what had been emailed out that day. The Democrats did publicize some aspects of the secret program while it was running, praising the initiative as their first step in bringing back, quote, truth to radio. However, the inner workings of the TRI were kept secret for decades. The Washington Free Beacon reviewed years' worth of previous reporting and scores of internal documents from the Clinton Presidential Library, including secret DNC communiques, confidential state party documents, and even executive memorandums for the president that together shed light on the internal workings of TRI. The materials revealed that Democrats systematically trained more than 4,000 operatives in at least 23 states to lie about their identities, deflect difficult questions from hosts, and plant pro-Democrat messages on the radio waves. This is why when liberals call this program, they tend to not be too bright. Most liberals who have a brain and are actually interested in intellectual debate don't listen. They're not actually interested in intellectual debate. They just avoid it. The ones who do call, it's the reason they don't ever answer any questions. Because the script, again, NPCs, non-playable characters. The script doesn't line up. They don't know what to do. You know, if you're playing a video game, you got an NPC there and you're trying to get them to do something that they're not coded to do, they won't do it. That's what we're dealing with. If you are afraid that producers are beginning to recognize your name and are weary of allowing you on the air, use an alias, the Michigan Democrats TRI guide read. For example, what's that?
Caller ID exists.
Well, yeah, I mean, but this is, you have to understand, this is in the 90s, okay?
Oh,
we didn't have the caller ID systems like we have now. So they would call, like, we have a screen here. They didn't have a screen when I was in Vegas. Yeah, so this is all new technology. So, yeah. Now, this is the thing, this is what's so funny to us. Most people don't realize this. We have your phone number.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't come through as unknown. Even if you're trying to block it, we have your number. We know who you are. When you threaten my kids, I assure you I pass it off to somebody else, and that has happened many, many times. You know, and when you send me the text messages too, how stupid are you to threaten me via text message? You're not bright. I have it. I have a whole document with all of the phone numbers and all of the things that you have said. Copied and pasted all of it. So if anything ever happens to me, guess where it's going? But yeah, this is interesting. So we've all known this for some time, but the official documents have now been made public by the Clinton Library. And again, if you have to lie and deceive people to get your message out, you're the one that is in the wrong side of history.